Welcome, parents, to our first ever virtual Back to School. My name is Mrs. Gallagher, and I'm hosting you tonight from my dining room table where I've been teaching your students math virtually for the past 4 weeks. As a mother of two small children, I understand the struggles of learning virtually from home. And I want you to know that I am here for you. And my goal is to help you and your child have the most successful year possible. These are my two boys. Grayson, the youngest on the left, is virtually learning fourth grade this year. And my older son, Grant, is virtually learning sixth grade. Here's a little bit more about me. This is my 16th year teaching math here at Los Alamitos High School. I am the co-department chair of the math department with my colleague, Mrs. Loggins. Together, we are making sure that your students are learning their fundamental math skills needed so that they can be successful in the future. Currently, this year, I am teaching Algebra 2, Algebra 1, and our new Introduction to Algebra course. For my current schedule, all of my Algebra 2 and Algebra 1 classes are being taught through our LoSal at Home school. That means that we will be online for the entire school year. My two periods of Introduction to Algebra are enrolled through our traditional high school, which means when we move to hybrid schedule, I will be able to see them in person on campus. While we are all learning online, and we will continue to all learn online at the bare minimum on Wednesdays during the hybrid schedule, I wanted to go over some basic behavior rules for an online classroom. First, the camera should be on and pointing at your student's smiling face. I need to be able to make sure that they are not only in the room, but also focused and paying attention to what we are doing. So the camera should not be pointed at the ceiling. I understand that sometimes we have trouble with our cameras, and so I hope that we are able to troubleshoot that as quickly as possible. And in the meantime, you can always log in through your phone and use your phone as your camera. When entering your classroom, the microphone should be turned off. If you have a question or a comment, it's absolutely allowed to unmute yourself, or you can ask questions and comments in the chat box. You should have a nice setup at a table with as few distractions as possible. We do need to be sitting at a table as we will be doing math actively during our live sessions, and they need a place where they can be writing their math. Make sure to stay logged in for the entire class period. I understand that sometimes the Wi-Fi might kick you off accidentally. Just try to get logged back in as quickly as possible. Also, make sure that you are participating in all of our activities. I'm trying to use our live sessions to have your students actively do math as much as possible, including activities on websites such as Desmos and Kahoot. Supplies that your students need for this class include traditional paper and pencil. This can be used for taking notes as well as doing our homework. In math class, it's very important that we are writing out our homework on a piece of paper. It's very difficult to type math and math steps onto a Google Doc. And so going back to that traditional paper and pencil for homework is a must. During our live sessions, your students should have the whiteboard and marker that was provided to them from their school district. That way, when they're doing their math during their live sessions, they can hold it up to the camera and I will be able to see their writing and be able to evaluate if they need help or if they're on the right track. Students are allowed to use a calculator for this class. Our recommended calculator is the Texas Instrument TI 30X IIS. It looks like this. This is a very user-friendly calculator that the student can use for their entire high school career. We will be having homework nightly from our textbooks, so make sure that your student has their textbook readily available. And obviously, we all need a computer with internet access for accessing live sessions of class and for doing and turning in homework. Let's take a quick visit to my virtual classroom. The first thing you'll see when your student logs into School's PLP is my virtual classroom. Here's an example of my Algebra 2 class, but all of my classes look very similar. In my classroom, I have a whiteboard for important announcements. Directly underneath the whiteboard is a calendar, which you can click on, and it will take you to our homework calendar, which you can print at home. Over here on the computer screen, I will have important announcements also. Sometimes I'll post a video there, or right now I have the hybrid schedule so that when we move to hybrid, everybody will be aware of what time classes are. On the bookshelf, I have important links, such as the link to our virtual live sessions, a link to a form where you can submit homework questions, a link to our online homework called Delta Math, a link to the virtual textbook, the Desmos website, a link to a YouTube playlist which hosts all the videos that I make for this class, including this one. We have a link to the syllabus, an online calculator, and a place where you can print graph paper from home. Feel free to explore the virtual classroom with your student. Homework for this class will be assigned nightly through School's PLP. For my classes that are low-sal at home and will be virtual all year, I have flipped those classes, so part of their homework will be to watch 1 to 2 short videos where they're being exposed to the material that we are learning in class. That way, I can maximize our class time together and I can make sure that the students are actively doing math during our live sessions. That way, also, they can make sure that they have full time to ask me for help and I can evaluate whether or not they understand the material and if I need to go a little bit more in detail. For all of my classes, whether virtually or in person, there will be nightly textbook assignments that should be done on a piece of paper and can be turned in virtually through the school's POP website. Also, throughout the chapter, there will be online Delta Math homework assigned that needs to be completed by the night before the test. Quizzes and tests this year will be given completely virtually to all of my students, and they can be given through one of three forms. They can be given through a Google form, through the online textbook Pearson website, or through our homework website called Delta Math. If your student is absent for a test, we'll need to email me so that we can set up a time where we can meet virtually and I can administer the test that they missed. Quizzes do not need to be made up. When a student has a test, it's very important that you make sure that their at-home environment is conducive to testing. That means that they want to be sitting in as quiet of a place as possible. That also means that they are not allowed to have any outside help during a test, such as from a person, from a website, or from their notes. During a test, I'm evaluating your students' knowledge that they gained for that unit. Here's a grade breakdown for all three of my classes. You'll notice that as we get to the more difficult classes, the test category percentage goes up. This is to help prepare your students for when they are in college, where tests really make up their entire grade. We also have a homework category, an other category, which is where I put quizzes and participation points for participating in our live activities. And every class will be given a final at the end of January, covering all of the material learned from the entire semester. So it's really important that your students are taking notes and saving their notes until January. Students have many different places where they can get help. One of the main key places they can get help is during my virtual office hours. Right now, my virtual office hours are scheduled for Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 4 p.m. But once we're on hybrid schedule, I may need to adjust that. I will make sure to make that announcement to your students. If your student is not able to attend the virtual office hours, they are always welcome to check out the videos on the Delta Math website, on their virtual textbook, or YouTube also has some great videos. And of course, I am here for you. Here is my email address. Your student or you can email me with any questions, any struggles, or just if you need to let me know something is happening. Thank you so much for joining me for Virtual Back to School, and I can't wait to see your students' smiling faces.